And we're live.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. This is Autonomous bi-weekly developer sync. We will speak about all the things our developers have been working on. To start off, big news. We have Naman, new engineer, joining us as front-end engineer. Did he make it in here?
I think he's probably setting up his StreamYard
Oh,
account.
yes. Okay. So, well, we will come back to him to introduce as he gets. We were rushing to switch over here to
Ah,
StreamYard.
here
So,
he is.
ah,
Uh,
all right, perfect timing. Come on, welcome to the team. You want to give a quick update or background on you?
sure. So myself, hello everyone. Myself, Naman Anand. I'm a front-end engineer from last 5 years. I'm coming from a background of AI and uh, finance. I have a solid background of computer science and front-end engineering. Uh, Happy to join this amazing team.
All right. Well, we are excited to have you. As I mentioned on our call before this, Naman's been contributing to different autonomous repos over the last couple of months. Glad to have him officially on the team and contributing. So I know that taking some front end pressure off of some of the other engineers is going to be uh, very welcome. So
Totally.
welcome to the. All right, Jim. I know you've got a long list of. I know I only put a couple of things on the agenda here, but I know you've got a longer list than that as always.
Yeah, hopefully not too long today. Updates from the community. So hot topics, we've got some. Usually, as you know, kind of farming is kind of taking care of itself to a certain extent, but we have been testing things on Taurus, as I'm sure our community know, which has highlighted we have what we call the two-peer issue on Taurus. So what you're seeing is that if you try and sync a new node, we're having some issues with peering and the bootstrap nodes. I think Ved's going to give us an update on it in a bit. It is being investigated, but as the best thing that you, the community, can do to help us, of course, is that when we do put out a new build, is to update as soon as possible. So if you're running a farmer or an operator, I know we've got lots of operators on Taurus at the moment for the Game of Domains. We'd be very grateful if you could jump on the new releases. I'll make sure that I tag everyone with the operators role in Discord. So if you haven't got that, please do pick it up. Okay, so two-peer issue aside, we also are seeing lots of messages, lots of messages being logged in our operators. Specifically, you could well be seeing messages about fail to submit XDM to a TX pool for a particular chain. And it says that it's too low priority. So I believe again that that's being addressed. I think Ved mentioned just now that it's going to be downgraded. So we know that that's generating lots of messages. I think that some community members are suggesting that it's generating gigs of logs. So yeah, we're all in the same boat there. We are aware and it's being addressed. And thanks for all the feedback that you've provided so far with the XDM testing. It's super useful and very valuable. Okay, so last thing on hot topics, a slight change in gear actually, not so engineering focused, but this weekend we saw quite an uptick in Discord scammers impersonating teams. So if you get approached by a team, an unsolicited message from someone who's maybe got like a similar username and a team profile pic, always, we don't DM first. We will ask you to contact us in a public channel in Discord. So please be vigilant. Unfortunately, our space is full of scammers. So just make sure that you remain vigilant. Okay, I also want to talk a little bit about farmer office hours last week. So there were several big topics, but something that's exciting for myself and Emil, who's on the call, is that it's the Midwest Blockathon this weekend. So if you missed the call, please do go back and check it out. The Midwest Blockathon, sorry, is run by the Kansas University Blockchain Institute. And we are sponsoring a track. We're holding a workshop. We are involved alongside other sponsors. It is part of our bigger Aurora Buildathon, builder outreach program. And yeah, encourage you to check out the forum post we have about it, and watch Farmer Office Hours to get the context. And if you are an engineer in the Midwest of the US, please do give us a ping. It'd be great to have you on board, and maybe there's an opportunity for you to roll up your sleeves and produce something with Auto Agents or the Auto SDK. We'd love to help you out, get something stood up. In addition, there was a mainnet phase 2 roadmap update. I know that it's something that the community are very keen to hear more news about. I still owe everyone a forum post. I did kind of provide the usual slide. I just need to make sure that I've gathered a few more updates from a couple of teams, and that post will be coming out as soon as it's ready. Please bear with me. Game of domains, right? So again, just to summarize what was discussed on Farmer Office Hours, we've actually excuse me, we've actually moved up a stage 2 trial of innovation instead of kicking off stage 1. One of the absolutely critical things we have to do is test XDM. So we've kicked off our first trial. It is called Crossing the Narrow Sea. And yeah, it is to get us to that point where we are ready for mainnet phase 2. There is so there's a post on the forum. It's also linked in Discord and Telegram that will introduce the initiative and what it's all about. There is also an accompanying XDM guide on the forum, which has lots of screenshots and walks you through the process of sending XDMing cross-domain messaging tokens from consensus to the auto EVM domain on Taurus and then back again. And we're going to keep that. That's going to be updated as we go along. One thing there, a hot topic that has come up actually, is if you see an error message, if you're using Polkadot.js to send tokens back from the domain to consensus, and you see a message about input with 65 bytes, you just need to pop over to the account screen, and it will tell you that you need to update your metadata. If you've experienced that and you can't find what I'm on about, please do reach out in Discord. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I want to say thanks for all the feedback so far. We are learning together about XDM on the community team and with our community. And we have a list of issues and questions being curated internally, which as I get the answers, I'm going to be updating the forum posts so that we have like a single source of truth where people can learn about how it all works. Final thing from me is last week we did introduce the Autonomous Under the Hood video. It is a great way that you can learn how the protocol hangs together. So what farmers do, how they provide consensus to the operators, how the operators provide execution in those domains, and how everyone is aligned on incentives. So yeah, please do check it out. I'm not going to drop the link in the chat at the moment because I don't want you running off and watching it. So I'm going to put it in the video description down below. So if you're catching up later, you'll be able to find it there. And that is me this week. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to highlight the XDM testing. We have gone from, I don't know, a couple a day maybe to 1,000 an hour. Is that right, Jim? So the things like logs that are showing up in operators, these are things only are going to be discovered as really irritating once we've increased testing to the level that we have. And the Pierce things are working, which is ultimately what the first level of testing about. The second level is going to be, of course, the user kind of feedback and flow, making sure the user experience is solid. So I know Mark will be speaking to that here in a minute. Before then, we'll go to Ved. Ved, give us an update on where we are with the audit, as that's a major dependency for launching of the network. And then also maybe you could address the networking issue that we've been experiencing on Taurus and kind of how we're approaching that.
Yep. Hey everyone. Okay. Going to the audit. Audit is going great. We have fewer than 5 remaining features that we would like to get audited before we actually go to the main launch. Those we are, I think those will be done in the next couple of weeks, but we are still figuring out the timeline for that. We'll keep you posted on that end. But those are the only things that are remaining for us to move forward. Now, coming down to the network issues that a lot of folks were seeing, we recently upgraded our substrate to the latest release, and that had a bit of a regression coming down, and that affected most of the Bootstrap peers that we have deployed. We do have a solution that we are testing right now. We haven't made a release for that because we would like to be sure if that actually fixes it. Once the fix is done, once we know that it's going to be working as expected, then we'll shortly make a release, pre-release for Taurus, and let the community know. If you could keep an eye out and upgrade as soon as possible when the release is out, and follow the instructions if there are any in there, that'll be great. As for the XDM errors, these are essentially not errors. They were ideally supposed to be just warnings. But the influx of so many XDM messages coming from the community, which is great, kind of overtook the entirety of the logs right now. We have downgraded that particular log to a debug so that won't be visible. Again, this is not blocking any XDM transfers. Everything is working as expected. It's just that when multiple operators submit these, so it's kind of submitting the same message from all the operators. So that's what the error is about. That says low priority. That would be fixed in the next upcoming release, and shouldn't have any issues with XDM with that change. There is also one other topic that came up around the XDM fee being so high. We are also working on reducing the fees for the XDM. The initial fees were set as a constant to as a 2 TAI, but we are working on making it more dynamic and much more less than 2 TAI than it is currently right now. So that particular fee change will be coming over in the next few upgrades. But yeah, we'll keep you posted once that fees are in, and then Astral will also be upgraded to show the XDM fees along.
Regarding the hoped for fix on the Taurus networking, that's going to require everybody to be upgrading their nodes, right, for that fix to propagate.
Yeah, okay. To jump into a bit more, like, stop me if it's like a bit more technical. So what happened there was an issue with the P2P where it was discovering external ports that are ephemeral, not supposed to be open, but it ended up being discovered and then pushed on to the Bootstrap nodes. Now, Bootstrap nodes essentially gives those details to other clients so that they could directly do a P2P connection. Now, some of these particular addresses are not live in the sense that they won't be able to connect because they are ephemeral. And that's where the issue is, where other peers are not able to connect to the other peers because of the port issues. What we are currently planning on doing is we have a PR out there that we are trying to test right now on Bootstrap nodes and clean up the network, which is kind of corrupted. Once the Bootstrap nodes are fixed, most of the network peers should be able to connect to each other because those are the central points. Once that works out as well, then we will deploy a release for the rest of the community. And hopefully they might have to clear the networking details on their end on the folder, but that's pretty much it. The rest of them should be just updating the node to the latest version.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, Mark, you want to give us an update on all the fun stuff happening on Astral with XDM?
Yeah, so staying on the XDM's topic, with Astral, well, we did a lot more testing. There's I noticed on Thursday or Friday there was an issue when trying to transfer from domain to consensus. So right now the fix is applied to our developer environment of Astral, like dev/astral.netlify.app. This will be pushed to production pretty soon. As well, the SDK also will be improved. I already on Friday added more functionality to verify how many channels and verify how many pending XDM there is on the network, like more query function. We'll also improve Astral to list more the pending and the executed XDM to have more traceability. I'm thinking about like a second tabs on the transfer section that has like the history of your transfer. And same thing, make it more obvious when you're on the account detail, which transfer XDM versus regular transfer. And list the fee as well better. Currently, it's not counting the the fees are multiple. There's multiple events that represent the fees for XDM, and right now it's just capturing one of them, so it's not accurate. And even like the delay are not correct because we're mentioning 1 day, but it's actually 1 day only when you're doing domain to consensus. From consensus to domain, it's shorter than that. I also wanted to mention at the moment, there's only Talisman that will support transfer from domain to consensus. Recent update with Subwallet has made it that these EVM wallets are not visible to Astral at the moment. I'm investigating the issue with Subwallet team. And so at the moment, only Talisman wallet, once you create an EVM wallet from your substrate wallet, and you connect both to Astral, you can see both and then switch. You want to be connected to your EVM wallet to perform the domain to consensus transfer. So we're working on improving, making XDM much more easy. We created a new indexer that indexed the domain chain with subquery, and that will allow us the full traceability on both sides. So, yeah.
All right, Carlos, how's AutoDrive coming along?
So from AutoDrive, the biggest update and the most important announcement that we've got is the deployment of the public gateway for AutoDrive. This gateway, what allows users and devs is to read files directly from the DSN or from the AutoDrive backends, just from one endpoint, regardless the network it's in. It's deployed, and developers can use it for their applications. Basically the endpoint is gateway Autonomys XYZ. That's the biggest announcement. Other minor updates could be like we're working on improving the bandwidth of the files gateway, and in the same way the AutoDrive's bandwidth. These changes haven't been deployed yet because we have some dependencies over there, but it will be deployed soon.
One thing I noticed with AutoDrive the other day, I was updating some code, and it's not as much AutoDrive, but the SDK and the wrapper that I know you had worked on before made it very pleasurable to like discover what functions were available, and it's a much better developer experience. So
that change, I think that is worth it.
Yep. And great documentation on it as well. So
nice.
All right, Saeed. We had a release recently on the agents, and things continue just to kind of sprint forward there. You want to kind of catch us up on where we're at?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, as you said, like to release a new version 0.4, sorry, and it was quite like a major changes happening inside the agent framework. For example, we introduced API from the agent, which abstract a lot of things that's happening inside the agent to outside world. which how the web CLI is connected to the agent. And the other changes was refactoring completely the scheduler feature. So previously it was like coming from one point inside the whole structure that was scheduling a task. But right now the scheduling a task is happening during the workflow, during the agent execution runtime. So whether agent decides to schedule task autonomously, or you can schedule a task by prompting it. If there is a task that's being executed and you prompt something, this task will be scheduled right after the current task. So that was a quite major update on the scheduling. And based on our results, I guess Jeremy can and provide more details, but I think it's quite like a great feature to have. And we were seeing like a lot of fun stuff that's happening inside the agent decision making. The next update was about like a vector DB, thanks to Jeremy. And right now we are having much better utility from the vector DB. So our agent like argument is using the vector DB, which comes from the previous memories that is stored on blockchain, much better. And previously it was like, okay, I know this, I don't want to use the vector DB, but right now is basically for doing SQL queries over our local vector DBs, which populated from the previous learned experiences, and it using them actually for not every decision making, but at least for a couple of decision making that's happening inside the execution. And the next major update was the package manager. Hopefully the first version will be released this week or the week after this week. So this package manager is going to be a permissionless package manager. The thing that it works is that there is a smart contract we will handling the registering of the, for example, a package name and all of the metadata, and the actual code will be registered and stored on Autodrive, which is a blockchain. So all of the dependencies and etc. will be handled permissionlessly, and it will come with a CLI structure that it would be really easy to install a tool, for example. So it will help us to keep the core structure of the agent clean and delegate all of the tools to the package manager. We are still working to understand and come up with the best user experience. Right now, it might not be the perfect solution that we came up, especially for the first version, but we are working on it. So that was another one. And I guess like we came up with some improvements with the weaker models. Jeremy, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. So before I jump into that, I was just going to highlight a couple of things. It's kind of a theme of what we've been working towards, and that is getting the agents on chain. So we started off with the memories just being written on chain, and it was kind of a write only. The vector DB improvements and such that Saeed was referring to have brought the synchronization or the resurrection of these agents from their memories that are put on chain and can be brought into a local vector database. We've improved discoverability of like, it's not just semantic search on those databases. There's some structured searching that can happen as well. The next stage in that is what Saeed was referring to, this package manager. So much of the agent runtime will also be moving to being on chain. So and that'll be happening via tools. Ultimately, all of the agent runtime we kind of picture as being on chain. And so just, more steps towards the ability for these agents to be run completely autonomously without any reliance on centralized infrastructure. Key to having low reliance on centralized infrastructure is going to be the ability to work on weaker models. So right now we know, and I think it's generally known, that there was some studies put out by, I think, LangChain last week, showing that the reality is, with all the hype of AI agents, is that they autonomously don't work very well. So they don't make, they don't do a good job of planning, of like being able to have lots of tools available and then being able to pick what tools are available. Really only a couple of the models have any kind of consistency around that. So of course it's Claude. Claude's become, I think, our favorite, and maybe we've become a bit over reliant on it. I think O3 Mini also showed to be doing pretty well. Our experimenting hasn't been as positive there. But one of the things that was a big focus of mine last week was just going back through the code and seeing where are we relying on the model being strong, and that it's just going to work because it'll make good decisions, and then trying to kind of see what I can do to minimize that reliance. So try and improve the outcome with weaker models. What that led to is that I'm able to, argument right now is running primarily on Claude Haiku, which is significantly cheaper than Sonnet, and but it's able to do it pretty well. We can get some minimal success with GPT-4o. I actually did have some okay success last week with O3 Mini. But ultimately, we don't want to have any reliance on these centralized models. We'd love to be running, local DeepSeek or Llama, but we're just not there yet. But we're working towards it. I think that's it.
I also wanted to add for the agent, I'm realizing that quite often some of our tool set have a lot of tools. And so sometimes, for example, with Argument, we were trying to get him, he's on our Slack, and we were trying to get him, or at least I was trying to get him to edit some post, and he kept not doing it till I end up giving him the name of the tool to use. And so like, okay, use edit Slack post tool to edit the post, and now he started doing it. And now even you, Jeremy, were asking him to add links to his, one of his posts, and he went automatically without you specifying, like, please edit your post, and he went and edited the post himself or itself. So yeah, sometimes like using the name of the tools help a lot, and like giving them how that flow, that work should be done. And once they kind of mastered that work, that it become ingrained in the VectorDB, and they get much smarter. So some of our tools are much more complex, or their description may be a bit, it's not something that they're used to. So
we're learning a lot around tool usage and how to get the agents to do what you want it to. That the fact that was interesting from the LangChain was the LangChain research was as you add tools, the performance of like GPT-4o goes to, it doesn't work anymore. And that's exactly what we've seen. If you have more than a few tools, GPT-4o just doesn't work. Claude Sonnet can keep it together pretty well, even with dozens of, I think we've got dozens of tools exposed. Maybe not quite dozens, but we have quite a few tools exposed, and it does a pretty good job of picking the right tool for the job. Though obviously, as Mark was just saying, you can help it out by telling it what tool to use. And it seems to be able to remember that in using the VectorDB and kind of drawing on that knowledge as needed in the future. So yeah, it's been fun stuff. Excited to see the package manager this week, and really excited to see outside of the agents, all the stuff with XDM coming up. This is kind of our last major dependency to phase 2 launch. So thank you everyone who's testing. Be patient with us as we take all the feedback and try to implement it and get you the most pleasant experience possible. So,
don't forget to like this video, share, contribute, follow us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, all right. We will see you all in a couple weeks.